The waiting room was cold. Haiyan Wu sat perfectly still in his chair, hands folded in his lap. He had been sitting there for 3 hours now. Across from him, Ji-won paced back and forth like a caged animal. Her military uniform was crisp and clean, but her jaw was tight with anger. "They're doing this on purpose," Ji-won said quietly, "showing us weight, showing us how little we matter to them." Haiyan Wu nodded slowly. "I know. Let them play their games. We didn't come here to make friends." The room itself was impressive. The walls stretched up so high that Haiyan Wu couldn't see the ceiling. Everything was made of some kind of white stone that seemed to glow from within. Through the massive windows he could see the Velkarn capital city spreading out below them. Towers reached toward the sky like silver needles. Ships flew between them in perfect formation. This was the heart of an empire that controlled 300 star systems, and they had killed 247 humans 3 months ago. Haiyan Wu closed his eyes and saw the faces again. Men and women who worked on Europa, mining ice and minerals.
Oh.
Some had brought their families. There were children on that station. 16 children. He knew all their names now. He had memorized every single one. The mining station had sent out warnings when the Velkarn ships appeared. They had identified themselves as humans. They had asked the ships to leave. The Velkarn had jammed their communications and opened fire. The station broke apart in seconds. Most people died instantly. Few survived long enough to send final messages to their loved ones. Young Su had been one of the survivors. He lost his wife and daughter in the attack. The last message from his daughter was a video. She was 8 years old, hiding under a table, asking her father to come save her. The message cut off when the station's life support failed. "Mr. Haiyan Wu, Ms. Ji-won, the council will see you now." Haiyan Wu opened his eyes. A Velkarn servant stood in the doorway. The alien was tall and thin, with purple skin that seemed to shimmer under the lights. Its eyes were large and black, showing no emotion at all. Ji-won stopped pacing. She looked at Haiyan Wu and he nodded. Together they followed the servant through corridors that seemed to go on forever. Finally, they entered the council chamber. The room was even bigger than the waiting area. The ceiling arched overhead like the inside of a cathedral. In the center was a raised platform where 5 Velkarns sat on thrones made of crystal. Round them, dozens of other aliens sat in rows of seats. These were representatives from the client species, the smaller races that served the Velkarn Empire. The 5 Velkarn on the thrones looked down at Haiyan Wu and Ji-won with expressions that ranged from boredom to mild curiosity. None of them looked concerned or worried. Why would they? Humans were nothing to them. A minor species that had barely left their home system. "Humans," said the Velkarn in the center throne. His voice was deep and commanding. "I am Velrath, High Chancellor of the Velkarn Empire. Requested this audience to discuss the unfortunate incident in your home system 3 months ago." An unfortunate incident. Haiyan Wu felt anger rise in his chest, but kept his face calm. "Thank you for seeing us, High Chancellor. Yes. We wish to discuss the attack on our mining station." "Attack?" Another Velkarn spoke up. This one wore military decorations on his robes. "It was an accident. A navigational error. Our exploration fleet did not know your primitive species had settlements in that system." Ji-won's hands clenched into fists. Haiyan Wu stepped forward slightly. "Fleet Commander Thalvin, I presume. Your exploration fleet destroyed our station, killed 247 of our people, and jammed all our communications before firing. That sounds less like an accident and more like murder." The chamber fell silent. Several of the client species representatives shifted nervously in their seats. No one spoke to the Velkarn like that, not if they wanted to live. Velrath's expression didn't change. "You are here seeking compensation, I assume. We are prepared to offer a settlement. 5,000 credits for each life lost. It's medical care for survivors. A formal apology. This is generous, human. It's more generous than your species deserves." "Generous, Ji-won? Couldn't stay quiet anymore. You killed children. You destroyed families. And you think throwing money at us makes it right? What more do you want?" Thalvin snapped. "You want war? Your entire species lives in 1 star system. We control 300. Could erase you from existence if we wished." Haiyan Wu raised his hand slightly, and Ji-won fell silent. He had been waiting for this moment. Everything up until now had been theater. The Velkarn wanted them to feel small and powerless. They wanted humans to accept whatever scraps were offered and go away grateful. But Hyanwu hadn't come here to beg. Chancellor Velrath, Fleet Commander Thalvin, honored members of the Council. Hyanwu's voice was calm and steady. I need to make something very clear before we continue this conversation. Speak quickly, human, Velrath said. We have more important matters to attend to. Hyanwu looked up at the 5 Velkarn on their crystal thrones. He looked at Thalvin with his military decorations. He looked at all the client species, watching nervously from their seats. Then he spoke words that would change everything. 3 months ago, your fleet entered our solar system without permission. You ignored our warnings. You jammed our communications. You destroyed our station and killed our people. You attacked our home. He paused, letting those words sink in. It changes everything. Velrath leaned forward slightly. Changes what exactly? Hyanwu smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Everything. Because now you need to understand exactly what humanity is. You need to understand our history. You need to understand what we've survived. And most importantly, you need to understand what happens when someone attacks our home. This is ridiculous, Thalvin said. We do not have time for history lessons from a primitive species. You will make time, Jiwan said quietly. There was something in her voice that made several council members look at her more carefully. Because what we're about to tell you might save your empire. Velroth looked annoyed but curious. Very well, you have 1 hour. Speak your piece, then accept our compensation and leave. Hyanwu nodded. 1 hour will be enough. He gestured to G1, who pulled out a small device. She pressed a button, and holographic images began to appear in the air above them. Let me tell you about humanity, Hyanwu said. Let me tell you about war. The holographic images floating in the air showed a blue and green planet, Earth. It looked peaceful from space, covered in white clouds and deep oceans. Then the image changed. Cities appeared, then weapons, then fire. This is our homeworld, Hyanwu said. For most of our history, we lived only on this one planet, with nowhere else to go. No other systems to escape to. Just this one small world. Velrath looked bored. Many species begin on one world. This is not unique. You're right, Hyanwu agreed. What might be unique is how many times we almost destroyed ourselves on that one world. Guan pressed another button. The hologram showed armies clashing with swords and spears. Thousands of soldiers fighting and dying, cities burning. This was our past, Hyanwu continued. For thousands of years, we fought each other, tribe against tribe, kingdom against kingdom, nation against nation. We killed each other over land, over resources, over beliefs, over insults. We were very good at killing. The images changed faster now. Guns appeared, bigger armies, more destruction. Got better at it, Hyanwu said quietly. Better weapons, better tactics, better ways to kill more people faster. Then the image showed something that made several council members lean forward. A massive explosion, a cloud shaped like a mushroom rising into the sky. Cities turned to ash in seconds. Millions dead in moments. Nuclear weapons, G1 said. We split the atom and used it to kill each other. We built enough of these weapons to destroy our entire planet 20 times over. We came very close to using them, several times. Kestar, one of the other Velkarn council members, spoke up. But you did not destroy yourselves. Obviously, no, Hyanwu said. We didn't, we learned. Slowly, painfully. We learned that we had to work together, or we would all die together. But the lessons cost us dearly. The hologram showed more horrors. Chemical weapons, biological plagues, entire populations wiped out, children starving, rivers turned to poison, forests becoming deserts. We poisoned our own air. We filled our oceans with plastic and waste. We changed our climate until our world was dying. We did all of this to ourselves. No alien enemy, no outside threat, just us, destroying the only home we had. Renvac, a representative from one of the client species, watched with wide eyes. Known people had never developed weapons like these. They had surrendered to the Velkarn without fighting. He couldn't imagine a species that would do this to itself. Why are you telling us this? Thalvin demanded. To prove how barbaric you are. To prove how stubborn we are, Hyenwu corrected. Because despite everything I just showed you, we survived. Pulled back from the edge. We cleaned our air and water. We stopped the wars. We learned to work together. And then we looked up at the stars. The hologram changed again. It showed humans in spacesuits. Small stations orbiting Earth, ships traveling to the moon, bases on Mars, slowly, carefully, humanity spreading out into their solar system. We left Earth not as conquerors, Hyenwu said. We left as refugees. Refugees from our own mistakes. Every settlement we built in space was precious to us. Every person who went to live on the moon or Mars or Europa was brave beyond measure. They left the only world humans had ever known. They went into the darkness to build new homes. Giwan's voice was thick with emotion now. The mining station on Europa wasn't just a workplace. It was a community. People fell in love there. Got married. Had children. Those children were born in space. They had never seen Earth. Europa was their home. The hologram showed images now that hadn't been in the news broadcasts. Pictures from the station. A birthday party for a little girl. Workers playing cards after their shift. A couple holding their newborn baby. Ordinary people living ordinary lives. These are some of the people your fleet killed, Hyenwu said softly. Daehyan, an engineer. He had just finished building a greenhouse so fresh vegetables could be grown on the station. Yuna, a teacher. She taught the children mathematics and art. Tae-young, a medical technician. He had saved 3 lives the week before the attack, when a mining accident trapped workers outside. More faces appeared. More names. More lives. Haewon, Jae-sung, Minji, Kungsu, Su-young. Hyenwu named them one by one. They had dreams, plans, futures. You took all of that away in 30 seconds. The chamber was very quiet now. Even Velrath looked uncomfortable. The client species representatives were watching with new attention. This wasn't just abstract numbers anymore. These were real people who had died. We learned something from nearly destroying Earth, Hyenwu continued. We learned that home is everything. Home is not just a place. It's the people you love, the air you breathe, the ground under your feet, the sky above your head. Home is sacred. He turned to look directly at Velrath. Every single human settlement in our solar system was built with blood and sweat and tears. We earned every centimeter of space we occupy. The moon base cost us 63 lives during construction. Mars colony lost 40 people in the first 5 years. The station on Europa, where your fleet attacked? They fought storms and radiation and equipment failures for 10 years before it was stable enough to bring families there. We all have tragic histories, Velrath said. But his voice was less confident now. Many species have suffered losses. Yes, Hyenwu agreed. But how many of those species clearly told you what would happen if you attacked their home? How many gave you explicit warnings? How many drew a line in space and said, "Do not cross this"? That made Thalvin shift uncomfortably in his seat. Kestar looked at the fleet commander with a questioning expression. Hyenwu saw the look. You didn't tell the full council, did you, Commander? You didn't tell them that we warned you. 3 separate times. Before your fleet even reached Jupiter, Jiwon brought up new images. Communication logs. Timestamps. First warning. When your ships entered the edge of our solar system, we identified ourselves. We stated clearly that this was human territory. We requested your fleet to state their intentions. Second warning. When your fleet passed Mars orbit, we repeated our identification. We informed you that all human settlements were protected. We asked you to leave. Third warning. When your fleet approached Europa, we told you that the station was inhabited by civilians. We told you that attacking it would be considered an act of war. The hologram showed the final communication from the Europa station. A man's voice, calm but firm. Velkarn Fleet. This is Europa Station. We are transmitting on all frequencies. We are civilians. We have children on this station. Please respond. Please do not fire. Then static. Then nothing. You jammed their communications, Hyenwu said. You didn't want anyone to hear them begging for their lives. You didn't want a record of what you were about to do. Thalvin stood up angrily. It was a military decision. We could not show weakness to a primitive species claiming an entire system. Weakness. G1's voice cracked like a whip. You attacked civilians. You killed children. You call that strength? Valrath held up his hand. Enough. What is your point, humans? Yes, there was a military incident. Yes, perhaps more caution should have been used. We have offered compensation. What more do you want? Hyunwoo looked at each council member in turn. Then he looked at all the client species watching from their seats. Finally, he spoke the words he had been building toward. We want you to understand that you didn't attack us because you didn't know we were there. You attacked us because you thought we couldn't do anything about it. You thought we were weak, primitive, unable to fight back. He smiled, and it was not a pleasant smile. You were wrong, Velrath's expression shifted from boredom to irritation. Are you threatening the Velkarn Empire? You, with your single star system? Against our 300 worlds? No, Hyunwoo said calmly. I'm not threatening anyone. I'm explaining what already happened. You see, this meeting didn't start today. It started 5 years ago when humanity first met the Velkarn. Gi-1 pulled up new recordings. A different council chamber, 5 years in the past. A human man in a military uniform stood where Hyunwoo now stood. His name tag read, Admiral Daejung. This was our first contact, Hyunwoo narrated as the recording played. Admiral Daejung came to inform the Velkarn that humanity had claimed the Sol system as our sovereign territory. In the recording, Daejung spoke with the same calm confidence Hyunwoo now showed. We come in peace. We seek trade and friendship with the Velkarn Empire. However, we must make one thing absolutely clear. Our solar system, from the Sun to the outer edge past Pluto, is human territory. Any military vessels entering without permission will be considered an act of war. The younger Velrath in the recording laughed. Actually laughed. An act of war? You have 3 small settlements and a handful of mining stations. You threaten us? Daejung didn't smile. Not a threat. A statement of fact. We are not asking for your approval. We are informing you of our boundaries. Cross them with hostile intent, and there will be consequences. The recording ended. The present-day Velrath looked angry now. We do not take orders from lesser species. We go where we wish in this galaxy. Then you should have listened, Hyunwoo said quietly. Because everything that happened after that was your choice. GI-1 brought up more records. Star charts, ship movements, communication logs. Over the next 5 years, Velkarn survey ships approached our system 17 times. Each time, they were warned. Each time, they turned away. Until 3 months ago, the hologram showed Thalvin's fleet. 12 ships heavily armed, moving toward the Sol system in tight formation. Your fleet didn't wander into our space by accident, Hyunwoo said. You've planned this. You assembled a fleet. You gave orders? You knew exactly what you were doing? Thalvin's face was purple with rage. We were testing your defenses. Seeing if you were bluffing? Every species makes threats. We needed to know if yours were real. You tested us by killing civilians. Jiwan's voice was cold as ice. By murdering families? Kestar spoke up, his voice troubled. Commander Thalvin, I was not informed that this was a deliberate incursion. The report said it was a navigational error, was a military necessity. Thalvin snapped. We cannot allow primitive species to dictate terms to the Empire. So you admit it, Hyunwoo said. You admit that the attack was intentional, that you went into our space knowing you were violating our clearly stated boundaries, that you jammed the station's communications so they couldn't call for help, that you fired on civilians deliberately. The chamber erupted in noise. The client species representatives were talking among themselves. Several Velkarn council members were arguing with Thalvin. Only Velrath remained silent, staring at Hyunwoo with cold calculation in his eyes. Velrath's voice boomed through the chamber. Everyone fell quiet. Enough of this theater. Yes, the attack was deliberate. Yes, it was meant to teach you a lesson. What of it? You are here now, begging for scraps. You prove our point. You are weak. Hyan-Wu nodded slowly. I see. Thank you for your honesty, High Chancellor. It makes what comes next much easier. What comes next? Velrath asked dangerously. You make more speeches? You cry about your dead? You accomplish nothing? What comes next, Hyan-Wu said, is justice. But first I want to show you what humanity was doing during the 3 months since you attacked us. G1 worked her controls. The hologram changed. Now it showed a map of Velkarn space. 300 systems spread across dozens of light years. The heart of a powerful empire. When you attacked Europa Station, you thought we would do one of two things, Hyan-Wu explained. Either we would strike back immediately with whatever we had, proving we were dangerous but reckless. Or we would come here like we did, begging for mercy and proving we were weak. He gestured at the map. We did neither. Instead, we prepared. Red dots began appearing on the map. 1, 2, 5, 10, 20. They kept coming until there were 47 red markers scattered throughout Velkarn territory. What are those? Kestar asked quietly. Those are human ships, Juwon said. Currently in orbit around 47 of your worlds. The chamber exploded in chaos. Velkarn council members jumped to their feet. Client species representatives gasped in shock. Thalvin was screaming something about impossibility and sensors and defense grids. Velrath raised his hand for silence again. But it took longer this time. When order was finally restored, his voice was deadly serious. Explain now. 3 months, Hyun-Woo said. That's how long it's been since your attack. You thought we were preparing diplomatic appeals, writing speeches, gathering evidence, and we were doing those things. But we were also doing something else. We were infiltrating your empire. The hologram zoomed in on one of the red dots. It showed a human ship, sleek and dark, hanging in space near a Velkarn military station. You never saw us coming, Jiwon said. Our ships are smaller than yours, faster. We use different engine designs that your sensors aren't calibrated to detect. While you were laughing about the primitive humans, we were mapping your entire empire. Another zoom. Another ship, this one near a major Velkarn shipyard. We know where every military installation is, every fleet base, every command center, every supply depot possible, Thalvin breathed. Our sensors would have detected you. Our patrols would have found you. Your sensors are designed to find Velkarn ships, Hyan-Woo said. Your patrols follow predictable patterns. You've been the dominant power in this region for so long that you've forgotten how to watch for threats. GI-1 pulled up more data. Communication intercepts. Fleet movement schedules. Supply chain logistics. Military command structures. We've been listening to everything. Watching everything. Learning everything. Valeris's expression had gone from angry to something approaching fear. Why? Why do all this? Because you attacked our home, Hyan-Woo said simply. I told you that changed everything. Humans are very good at holding grudges. We're even better at making sure we're never victims again. He walked closer to the council platform. You asked what we want? We want you to understand something fundamental about humanity. We don't start fights. We actually hate fighting. We spent thousands of years fighting each other and nearly destroyed ourselves. We know what war costs. But, his voice went hard, when someone attacks our home, when someone kills our families, we make absolutely certain we can end that fight on our terms. Idvek, the client species representative, raised his hand timidly. What are you going to do with those ships? Hyan-Woo turned to him. Nothing. Unless you force us to. Belroth leaned forward. Force you? Those 47 ships are not enough to threaten our empire. We have thousands of ships. Tens of thousands of weapons. You are bluffing, am I? Hyan-Woo gestured to G1. She pressed a control, and a voice filled the chamber. A human voice, speaking in Korean with an automatic translation following. This is Commander Sunmin of the human vessel Indomitable. We have achieved position. All systems green. Awaiting orders. Another voice from a different ship. This is Captain Hyojin of the vessel Defiant. Target acquired. Ready on your command? More voices. 47 different ships. 47 different commanders. All reporting ready status. Thalvin was accessing his own communication systems frantically. Check the orbital defenses around our core worlds. Check the fleet positions. Check everything. Minutes passed in tense silence. Then a Velkarn military officer's voice came through, shaking with shock. "Hi, Chancellor, we've just detected the human ships. They're exactly where the humans said. They're surrounding our major installations. We never saw them approach. They're in position to strike our defense platforms before we could respond." Velrath stood up slowly. "This is an act of war." "Oh," Hyanwu corrected. "Your attack on Europa was an act of war. This is our response. A measured, careful, prepared response. We could have struck first. We could have destroyed your platforms and left. But we didn't. Came here to talk. Because despite what you did to us, we still value life." The silence in the council chamber was absolute. Every eye was fixed on Hyanwu and G1. The two humans stood calmly while an empire realized it had made a terrible mistake. Velrath slowly sat back down. His movements were careful, controlled. When he spoke, his voice had lost its arrogant edge. "What do you want?" "I told you," Hyanwu said. "Justice. But let me be very specific about what that means." Gon brought up a new display. This one showed detailed information about the Europa attack. Sensor logs. Weapon signatures. Communication intercepts. First, we want the truth publicly acknowledged. Not an accident. Not a navigational error. You deliberately attacked a civilian target to test human resolve. Thalvin opened his mouth to protest, but Velrath silenced him with a look. Second, Hyanwu continued. Full reparations for every life lost. Not your insulting 5,000 credits. Each family will receive compensation equal to what a Velkarn family would receive if their station was destroyed. We've calculated that at approximately 2 million credits per person. Star did the math quickly. That's almost 500 million credits total, as Hyanwu agreed. Plus medical care and counseling for all survivors. Plus rebuilding the station. Plus a memorial that will stand forever on Europa. Third, G1 took over. All Velkarn military vessels will withdraw from any system within 50 light years of our solar system. You will establish a clear boundary and respect it. 50 light years. Thalvin finally found his voice. That's absurd. That's hundreds of systems. Most of them empty, Hyanwu said. We're not asking you to abandon populated worlds. Just give us space. Breathing room. A buffer zone, so this never happens again. And fourth, Giwan's voice went cold. A formal treaty. One that recognizes human sovereignty. One that establishes rules of contact. One that ensures if your ships and our ships meet in space, there are procedures to follow. Not weapons, procedures. Velrath listened to each demand carefully. Then he laughed, but it wasn't the dismissive laugh from earlier. This laugh was bitter. And if we refuse, you destroy our defense platforms with your 47 ships. Then what? We have fleets that would crush you. You're right, Hyanwu admitted. If this became a full war, you would probably win eventually. Your empire is vast. Your resources are enormous. You could throw ships at us until we ran out of ammunition. Paused. But it would cost you everything. Juan zoomed the display in on one of the human ships. Each of our ships carries weapons you haven't seen before. Remember, we nearly destroyed ourselves with nuclear weapons. We stopped using them because they were too dangerous. But we didn't forget how to make them. We made them smaller, more efficient, more devastating. Renvac spoke up nervously. You would use nuclear weapons on our worlds? Not on your worlds, Hyanwu said. On your infrastructure, your defense platforms, your shipyards, your communication arrays, your supply depots. We wouldn't kill billions of civilians, but we would cripple your ability to maintain your empire. The hologram showed simulations. Human ships striking key targets throughout Velkarn space. Not random destruction. Surgical strikes against military and industrial targets. You would spend decades rebuilding, G1 explained. And while you were rebuilding, how long would your client's species stay loyal? That question sent a ripple through the chamber. The client's species representatives looked at each other. Renvac wouldn't meet Velroth's eyes. Kestar understood immediately. They would rebel. If we showed weakness, if our military was crippled, the client species would see an opportunity. Yes, Haiyan Wu said quietly. Your empire isn't held together by love or loyalty. It's held together by fear and power. Take away the power, and the fear disappears. Take away the fear, and the empire collapses. Velrith's hands gripped the arms of his throne. You would destroy the stability of this entire region. Hundreds of billions of lives depend on the order we provide. We don't want to destroy anything, Haiyan Wu said. That's why we're here. That's why we're talking. We're giving you a choice. Some choice, Thalvin muttered. Surrender or die. Not surrender, Giwan corrected. Peace. There's a difference. A new voice entered the conversation. It came through the communication systems, speaking in calm, measured tones. Hi, Chancellor Velrath. This is Biora, Human Intelligence Coordinator. I've been monitoring this meeting. I thought you might want to see something. The hologram changed again. This time it showed Velkarn military communications from 3 months ago. Internal memos. Command decisions. Planning documents for the Europa attack. Bohr's voice continued as the documents scrolled past. These are your own records. They show that the attack on Europa wasn't just about testing human defenses. It was part of a larger strategy. You plan to intimidate humanity into becoming a client species. Force us to join your empire through fear. Velrath's expression went dark. Those are classified military documents. How did you we've been inside your systems for 3 months? Biora interrupted. Not just your space. Your networks. Your databases. Your communications. We know everything, where documents appeared. Fleet deployments. Political strategies. Even personal communications between council members. We know about the power struggles within your government, Bora said. We know which council members supported the attack and which opposed it. We know your military is stretched thin trying to control 300 systems. We know your economy is struggling with the costs of expansion. Kestar looked at Velrath with barely concealed anger. He told us the human threat was minimal. He said this would be a simple demonstration of power. It was supposed to be, Velrath said quietly. They were supposed to be primitive, weak, easy to intimidate. But we're not, Haiyan Wu said. We're the species that split the atom and touched the stars. We're the species that nearly destroyed ourselves and chose to survive instead. We're the species that spent 3 months preparing for this moment while you assumed we were weak. He walked closer to the council platform. You want to know the real difference between humans and Velkarn? You expanded through intimidation and conquest. You took 300 systems because no one could stop you. You grew arrogant because you forgot what it means to face a real threat. Humans expanded through necessity and survival. Every centimeter of our solar system is precious to us because we earned it. Every settlement is defended because we know what it costs to build one. Every life matters because we've lost too many already. Commander Sungmin's voice came through again. Hi, Chancellor. I want to make something clear. Our ships are in position, but we don't want to fire. None of us want this to become a shooting war. We want to go home to our families. We want to build and explore and live in peace. Another voice. Captain Hyojin. But if you make us fight, we will. Every person on these ships lost someone in the Europa attack. Friends, family, colleagues. We're here for them. We won't let their deaths be meaningless. 47 voices, one after another. 47 commanders, all saying the same thing, ready to fight. Hoping they wouldn't have to, Velrath closed his eyes. He opened them. He looked tired. Older. You have planned this very carefully. We had 3 months, Haiyan Wu said, and we're very motivated. If I refuse your demands, then we push the button, Giwan said bluntly. Every defense platform around your core worlds goes dark. Your shipyards stop functioning. Your communication network crashes. It won't kill anyone directly, but it will show the entire galaxy that the Velkarn Empire is vulnerable. And then the rebellions start, Renvac said softly. Species that have been under Velkarn control for generations would see their chance. Velrath looked at the small alien. You would rebel after we gave your people order and structure? You conquered us, Renvac said, finding courage. We never asked for your order. We never wanted your structure. We've been waiting for an opportunity. If the humans show you can be beaten, others will try. Kestar spoke up. Hi, Chancellor. Perhaps we should consider their demands seriously. 500 million credits is expensive, but not crippling. Withdrawing from empty systems costs us little. A formal treaty might actually benefit us. Benefit us? Thalvin was incredulous. We would look weak. We look weaker if we refuse, and they carry out their threat, Kestar argued. Better to negotiate from a position of partial strength than none at all. Velrath sat in silence for a long moment. The entire chamber waited. The balance of power in this region hung on his next words. Finally, he spoke. You've made your point, humans. You are not weak, not primitive, not easy prey. He paused. But understand this. If we agree to your terms, it's not because we fear you. It's because we recognize you as equals. A dangerous people, but ones we can negotiate with. Hyan Wu smiled slightly. Call it whatever helps you sleep at night, as long as our people get justice. Very well, Velrath said. The council will deliberate your demands. You will have your answer within 1 day. No, G1 said firmly. You will have your answer now. Our ships can only hold position for so long. Every minute you delay is another minute our people wait for justice. Velrath looked at his fellow council members. A silent conversation happened in glances and slight nods. Finally, he sighed. Then you will have your treaty. The treaty took 4 hours to write. Huanwu and G1 sat in a side chamber with Kestar and 2 other Velkarn officials. They argued over every word, every phrase, every commitment. Velrath had agreed in principle, but the details mattered. Outside in the main chamber, news of what happened was spreading. The client species representatives were sending messages to their home worlds. The impossible had happened. Humans, a species barely known to the galaxy, had brought the Velkarn Empire to the negotiating table. Renvac approached Hyan Wu during a break in the discussions. May I speak with you? Hyan Wu nodded and stepped away from the table. Of course. My people, Renvac said quietly. We have been part of the Velkarn Empire for 70 years. We never fought back. We never resisted. We thought resistance was impossible. It usually is, Hyan Wu said. We got lucky. We had time to prepare. We had technology they didn't expect. We were willing to risk everything. Still, Renvac looked thoughtful. You showed it could be done. You showed that Velkarn can be challenged. Hyan Wu chose his words carefully. The Velkarn made a mistake with us. They attacked first. That gave us moral authority. It gave us a reason that other species would understand. Without that, we would just be aggressors. But if they attacked us first, Renvac said slowly, then we would have the same authority. Yes, Hyan Wu agreed. But I hope it doesn't come to that. War is terrible. Even when you win, you lose. Better to find peaceful solutions. But if peace is impossible, Hyan Wu met the alien's eyes. Then you do what you must to protect your home. But make sure you're ready first. Make sure you can win. And make sure you can live with the consequences. Renvac nodded and returned to his seat. Hyan Wu watched him go and wondered what seeds they had planted today. Finally, the treaty was complete. It was written in both human languages and Velkarn script. Every demand Hyan Wu had made was included. The reparations, the withdrawal, the formal recognition of human territory, the rules for future contact. They returned to the main chamber. Velrath was waiting on his throne, along with the other council members. The chamber was now filled with observers. Representatives from dozens of species had arrived to witness the signing. This treaty, Velrath announced, establishes formal relations between the Velkarn Empire and humanity. It recognizes human sovereignty over their solar system and surrounding space. It provides compensation for the unfortunate incident at Europa Station. Unfortunate incident. Even now, he couldn't say the word attack. But Hyan Wu didn't care about words anymore. He cared about the treaty in his hands, Velrath continued. The Velkarn Empire extends the hand of friendship to humanity. We welcome them as equals in the galactic community. As equals. That was new language. Not subjects. It's not clients. Equals. The signing was formal and ceremonial. Velroth placed his mark on the document. Then Hyan Wu signed in neat, precise characters. G1 signed as a witness. Other council members added their marks. It was done. As soon as the ceremony ended, G1 sent a coded signal. Throughout Velkarn space, 47 human ships began to withdraw. They moved carefully, always keeping their weapons pointed at their targets until they were clear. No one fired. No one broke the peace. Hyan Wu and G1 left the council chamber to return to their ship. As they walked through the corridors, Kestar caught up with them. "Moment, please," the Velkarn counselor said. They stopped. Kestar looked uncomfortable. "I wanted to say that not all of us supported what happened. When Thalvin proposed the attack, some of us argued against it. We thought it was reckless, unnecessary. But you didn't stop it," Giwan said flatly. "No," Kestar admitted. "We didn't. And 247 humans died because of our weakness. I want you to know that some of us will remember that. Some of us will work to make sure it never happens again." Hyan Wu studied the alien carefully. "Words are easy, counselor. Actions matter. Show us through your future behavior that you mean what you say." Kestar nodded and walked away. Their ship was waiting at the landing platform. As they climbed aboard, Hyan Wu felt the weight of the last 3 months lifting slightly. Not gone. Never gone, but lighter. The journey back to human space took 2 weeks. During that time, news of the treaty spread across the galaxy. Reactions were mixed. Some species saw it as a sign of Velkarn weakness. Others saw it as wise compromise. Few saw it as inspiration. When they finally arrived back at Earth, they were met by crowds. People wanted to celebrate. They wanted to cheer for the diplomats who had gotten justice for Europa. But Hyan Wu didn't feel like celebrating. He went to the memorial that was being built on Europa. The station had been rebuilt, better and stronger than before. But in the center was a monument. 247 names carved in stone that would last forever. Yangsu was there, the man who had lost his wife and daughter. He was placing flowers at the base of the monument. "Did we get them?" Yangsu asked quietly when he saw Hyan Wu. "Did we make them pay?" "Yes," Hyan Wu said. "The families will receive compensation." The Velkarn admitted it was deliberate. "The galaxy knows what they did," Good Yangsu said. He touched his daughter's name on the stone. Good. They stood together in silence for a while. Then Yangsu asked, "Will they leave us alone now?" "I think so," Hyan Wu said. "We showed them we're not easy prey. We showed them attacking us costs more than it's worth. That should be enough. And if it's not..." Hyan Wu thought about the 47 ships that were now patrolling human space. He thought about the new weapons being built in secret shipyards. He thought about humanity's long history of survival against impossible odds. "Then we'll be ready," he said, on the command ship returning from Velkarn space. Commander Sungmin sat in his captain's chair and read the reports. The treaty was holding. The Velkarn were withdrawing their ships as promised. The compensation was being processed. His communications officer looked up from her station. "Sir, we're getting messages from other species. They want to know about our ships, about our weapons, about how we did it." "Tell them nothing," Sungmin ordered. "The less they know about our capabilities, the safer we are." "Sir." But privately, Sungmin smiled. "Let them wonder. Let them speculate. Let the mystery of human capabilities keep potential enemies cautious." On the Velkarn capital world, Thalvin was removed from command. He hadn't been punished severely, but his career was over. The attack on Europa would forever be known as Thalvin's folly. The moment when the Velkarn Empire learned that not every species would submit to intimidation, Valreth stood in his private chambers, looking at a holographic display of human space. 50 light-years. They had demanded 50 light-years of buffer space. And they had the will and capability to enforce it. He had underestimated them. A mistake he would not make again. But there was something else bothering him. During the negotiations, the humans had been so calm, so prepared, so confident. It wasn't the confidence of desperate people making a last stand. It was the confidence of people who knew they held the winning hand. How much more did they have hidden? How much capability were they not showing? Were those 47 ships everything? Or just the tip of a much larger force? Belrath didn't know. And that uncertainty troubled him more than anything on Earth. In a secure facility deep underground, human military leaders were meeting. Admiral Dejun addressed the room. The operation was a success. The Velkarn believe we have 47 advanced ships and sophisticated stealth technology. They believe we infiltrated their systems and mapped their entire empire. They believe we're a serious military threat. Paused. Of course we do have all those things. But they don't know the full extent. They don't know about the new fleet we're building. They don't know about the alliance talks with 3 other species. They don't know about the deep space monitoring stations we're establishing. Good, said another admiral. Let them think they know our capabilities. Let them think they have us figured out. Meanwhile, we keep building, keep preparing, keep making sure that if anyone ever attacks our home again, we can end them completely. The meeting continued late into the night. Plans were made. Resources were allocated. Humanity was not going to be caught unprepared ever again. 6 months after the treaty signing, Ji-won visited Hyeon-woo at his home. He was tending a small garden, growing vegetables in the Korean style his grandmother had taught him. They're calling us heroes, Ji-won said, sitting on his porch. There's talk of promotions. Maybe even political office. Hyeon-woo pulled a weed and tossed it aside. I don't feel like a hero. I feel like someone who did what needed to be done. That's what heroes are, Ji-won said. People who do what needs to be done when no one else will. Maybe. Hyeon-woo stood and brushed dirt from his hands. But I keep thinking about those 47 ships. About how close we came to actually firing. About how many people would have died. But we didn't fire. That's what matters. This time, Hyeon-woo looked up at the sky. Somewhere up there, the Velkarn Empire was licking its wounds. Other species were watching humanity with new respect. And humanity was preparing for whatever came next. Do you think we'll have peace? Ji-won asked. Hyeon-woo thought about the question carefully. I think we'll have peace as long as everyone remembers what happened when someone attacked our home. The moment they forget, the moment someone decides to test us again, it'll start all over. Then we make sure they never forget, Ji-won said firmly. Hyeon-woo nodded. Then we make sure they never forget. He went back to his garden. The vegetables were growing well. In a few weeks, they would be ready to harvest. Life continued. People built and grew and loved and lived. That was what mattered. That was what they had fought for. The right to live in peace. The right to tend gardens and raise families and watch children play. The right to call a piece of space home and know it would be protected. The Velkarn had attacked that. And humanity had shown the entire galaxy. What happened when you threatened human homes? They had been underestimated. They had been dismissed as primitive and weak. They had proven everyone wrong. And the galaxy would remember.